You found it. Your home for the best content on your favorite team, the Fighting Tigers of LSU. Do us a favor. Subscribe to the channel. Leave your comments below. And be sure to smash that like button. The dust is settled on the February signing period. LSU finishes with the number 4 class in the country, according to On3. Our buddy from On3, the Bengal Tiger, Shea Dixon, good enough to join us here for a couple of minutes. How are you, Shea?
Hey, I'm doing well. How are you, Matt?
I'm doing awesome. Okay, so the number 4 class, let's put a bow on this 2024 signing class for LSU. What are the standouts? How are you grading how Brian Kelly and his staff did pulling it together?
I mean, a top 5 finish up there with Georgia, Ohio State, Bama. I mean, that's the company you want to keep. So in that regard, it was excellent. And I think, and this is something Brian Kelly talked about last week, but geographically, it's something we talked about a lot on your show throughout the year, even when they were ranked in the teens. And people said, can this even be a top 10 class? And at the time, it was June, July, and I said, yes, look, wait it out. Things happen, but they'll keep pushing kids to the end. And when you're recruiting Louisiana, East Texas, that puts you, South Mississippi in the mix with all these guys, not just in the summer, but all the way through signing day. So to come away with the number 4 class when I think, gosh, Matt, 29 signees, 26 of them were from, 25 of the 29 were from Louisiana or Texas. More than 20 were Louisiana natives. And then toss in the South Mississippi signee, 26 of the 29 are from Louisiana or a border state. And that's kind of what Brian Kelly said he wanted the recipe to be. They said from the start, we want to sign 25 to 30 guys. They got 29. So when you look at number 4 class, you look at 3 5-stars, which is up there with as many as anybody in the country. It's more than impressive.
Number 4 from On3, number 7 in the composite. Heck of a job by this staff pulling it together there. And, of course, everyone's excited looking ahead to 2025. But, Shea, are they done for 24 whenever you look at a blended ranking with high school and portal? Or should we expect more portal additions in the next portal cycle?
I would definitely expect more portal additions. And, look, I don't know. I can't sit here and promise that the spring window, which is only a 15-day window right when spring football ends for everybody, is going to be the most active, spring of all time. Now, it may be considered how much shakeup there was at different schools with head coaching changes and all that, but it's not going to have the same flair or numbers that the first portal, kind of stretched us. The 30-day window is in the middle of all the bowl prep and everything else. So 1 or 2 guys, I think, could probably pop up that they would then jump on, maybe 3. But in terms of the 2024 class, which is everybody who just signed, you would only count high school and JUCO, and they are still after 1 JUCO D lineman out in Kansas. So we'll monitor that one. That will come down to, if he gets all his grades in order, he can get out of JUCO for the spring, and then after May, he could sign with or transfer to a 4-year school. So JUCO high school wise, if they have another addition, it would be from the JUCO ranks.
Is it safe to say, though, of course for the signing class, but is it safe to say, though, that be it the JUCO ranks at defensive tackle or in the portal, be it from another Power 5, depending on how it goes, that defensive tackle would be the biggest need? I think Brian Kelly alluded to that as well.
Yeah, group of 5, Power 5. I mean, if there's a guy out there who's legit that fits the bill of kind of what they're looking for, then absolutely. I mean, you're thinking about a position, and look, some other guys can play D tackle, but nose tackle, and then your bigger DT-wise, you have Guillory and Jalen Lee. Those are the only players left on roster. So signing McKinley, a 5-star DT, was massive. Bringing in 3 total, I think, defensive, 3 or 4 total true defensive linemen in this class, hand in the dirt, was good to get that going. And you've got a JUCO guy in Sean Washington who comes in with experience. I mean, he won a national championship at Georgia. He played for a JUCO national championship, and now he's coming back home after prepping at Warren Easton. So he gives you some experience beyond a high school guy. And but is that enough? I think that's why the spring portal window, Matt, is probably, whether it is JUCO or whether it's transfers from Power 5, Group of 5, that they want to come away with at least 1 more defensive tackle.
Shea Dixon, On3, the Bengal Tiger. I noticed you do have up over at On3 right now your big board or your mock for 2025, I guess is how we'd put it. They're already off to an amazing start for 2025, Shea, with the number one class. What are going to be some of the biggest prospects that we're going to keep an eye on here throughout the spring as spring recruiting periods heat up?
Yeah, I put up today my mock 1.0. People enjoy me doing my class predictions. Granted, we're a year out from when they're signing, 10, 11, 12 months. But, hey, look, 29 total predictions I had to make. I know I've got 9 of them right so far because those guys are very publicly committed. But
right.
Beyond that, I think, look, you have to start in Louisiana, right? And if you go and look right now at the rankings, the top 8 players in Louisiana, 7 are committed to LSU right now, publicly committed. The one guy who's not is James Simon up at Calvary Baptist, who running back had a fabulous junior year. They went to the Dome. He's being recruited by everyone. He's a top 10 running back nationally. And from the start, Frank Wilson had eyed Harlem Berry, the 5-star out of New Orleans, who's New Orleans area, who's a number 1 running back in the country, consensus. And then James Simon is that 1-2 punch he wanted. And look, when it comes to recruiting Louisiana and running backs, I'm not going to bet against Frank Wilson. So I think that's the biggest fish we're kind of looking for right now. And then it gets, in my opinion, fun to watch because they haven't been in a position like this, Matt, where, yes, they've had 10 commitments by February before, but they weren't 10 guys who were all ranked as top 250 prospects. They weren't 3 of them 5-stars, number 1 at their position, and 4 of them top 20 overall players nationally. So I think they can be a bit picky, and that's a good thing. And look, you're going to always eval Louisiana. You're going to be heavy on the border state guys, but with these new hires on defense, coupled with them coming off a number 1 offense finish, the Heisman, all of that, we're seeing it pay dividends, obviously, with a Bryce Underwood at quarterback and DeCorian Moore at receiver and an early commitment from Teron Francis at receiver, who's Louisiana's number 1 wideout, Harlem Berry, a 5-star. Like, they've got the guys rolling on offense, but how much further do they take it there? And then what do these new defensive hires do? Because between Corey Raymond, Bo Davis, Blake Baker, I mean, you're tossing around some big names.
Would have been the early returns from those guys out on the trail, the staff.
I've got to say, it's positive because before we hit this dead period, between all of those guys I just mentioned, they had a number of kids come in and visit that weren't previously scheduled to come. And I know DJ Pickett made headlines. We had talked about him, a 5-star defensive back out of Florida who Corey had recruited there. Bo Davis has had a couple D linemen that he was recruiting at Texas, from the Lone Star State, come in from before the dead period, who are juniors, and all these guys now are starting to schedule visits for March and April. So I think that we'll see in the coming weeks and months, maybe not weeks, we're in the dead period, but starting in March when it opens back up and into April and May, just how big those hires were, because that's when recruits are usually popping, in the spring, in the summer, before senior seasons. Right now, we're seeing these guys kind of lay the groundwork for what's to come.
Shea, let me ask you about the off-field guys as well. Adding Austin Thomas, of course, Will Redmond leaving for Auburn, some of the other turnover in the personnel there. How significant is that, or what is significant therein?
I think what's significant is you go from one group of people or, a number of people that worked in the personnel department heading things up to now a new wave of people, but they're going to have a lot of people look beyond the names that we've mentioned in the past few weeks that got new jobs. They'll have people within that program that have been there since they were student workers and worked their way into full-time jobs. Now we'll get bigger jobs. So you'll have some semblance of normalcy in terms of, hey, look, this is kind of how we've done things, what the group will be like now. Austin Thomas, having been here before, multiple times, he knows the lay of the land. So as much as things could change, I think what you're going to see is just more of the organization put on it, probably staffed a little bit more, and really kind of you're moving into this era, obviously, where everybody, there was word kind of broke today that someone from Ole Miss, Austin, and I forgot his name, it's not right in front of me, but Austin had pegged and hired, or is set to be hired as the new personnel director, or one of the new personnel directors, and younger guy out of Ole Miss who immediately I texted around, and people said, yep, one of the bright young minds, and he gets all facets of it. And it used to just be recruiting, and then it turned into recruiting and managing the team. Then you had to know about NIL and the portal, and I think a lot of these guys, coaches who are coming up, when you've got that on your resume of, hey, I've got a background in a little bit of it all, or an understanding of it all, then that's going to kind of carry you even more.
Is it Preston Tiffany? Is that who you were talking about?
Yes, there you go.
He was the guy who was at Ole Miss, and it was just I didn't know the name either. I just saw it tweeted earlier today. I think maybe I think Football Scoop might have had it first earlier today. So it's just another one of those off-field recruiting personnel, staff personnel that LSU added today. Shea, last thing for you, Shea Dixon on 3, the Bengal Tiger. We always talk about the calendar. So for those who don't follow this thing religiously every day, what is the recruiting calendar like right now with signing day having passed a week ago?
There's people who don't follow this religiously every day. Oh, my goodness.
Hard to believe when you are very much in the deep end of this every single day.
I need to get out of the house more. Look, we're in the middle of a month-long dead period, and that means no coaches can go on the road to see kids. No kids can pop up on visits and do the photo shoots and all that kind of stuff. And that will end in March. And from there, it's back to kids can come to campus. And by April, coaches are back on the road doing evals when high school football teams have spring practice, obviously. And then we're into the summer. We're in June. They have their annual fall camps and kind of get a good feel for everybody who gets offered and all that good stuff. So right now, February, I think the coaches are enjoying some much-deserved time off after what Brian Kelly and pretty much every coach out there has said is an unmanageable stretch from the end of November to, just recently.
He is Shea Dixon. You do a great job managing it for On3, the Bengal Tiger. Make sure you follow him on Twitter at Shea Dixon. Appreciate you, Shea. Thanks, man.
Yeah, thanks for having me on, Matt.
Hey, thanks so much for watching. Please leave your comments. I love to interact. And be sure to hit the red subscribe button below.